Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight.
The government delays debate in the Senate on the non-profit organization bill.
Frederick McAlpine weighs in on the opposition leader's invitation to rejoin the party.
C.H. Reeves teachers vote to strike, but will they get their strike certificate? Find out straight ahead.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News, and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. After protesting high electricity bills this year, Bahamians could actually end up getting money from Bahamas Power and Light next year, according to Public Works Minister DESMOND Bannister. He says the use of renewable energy and the conservation of energy will result in many BPL consumers getting credit from the state-owned power company.
So you're going to see more and more people who actually are getting credits from the grid. Rather than paying BPL money, they're going to be getting credits back.
Following a rough 2018, which saw frequent power outages and a sharp hike in electricity bills, 2019 could shape up to be a better year for frustrated BPL customers. Bannister says solar energy plans are expected to reap huge benefits. For some, this means actually getting money back via credit.
There are persons who are investing in renewable energy for their homes. And when they're going to actually be giving energy to the grid from their homes, from their solar arrays on their homes. So they're going to be putting energy into the grid. As a result, BPL will be giving them credits, and they're going to have negative bills.
Just last week, the Prime Minister said Bahamians could soon see a decrease in their light bills. So we asked the Public Works Minister how this would happen and when could BPL consumers see their electricity bills decrease. His response, it can be done now by consumers being more energy efficient.
Get a tankless water heater or get a solar heater system. That's the first thing, because all day long while you're not home, your heater is running up bills. Okay. Your heater is increasing your debt. I'm using 13.5 kilowatts of energy per day in my house. And I'm going to get that down. Take out those old light bulbs and go and get some proper light bulbs, LED light bulbs.
Bannister showed us his power bill and said it was the lowest it's ever been. He said he accomplished that by doing the same things he just mentioned. Back in October, many BPL consumers saw their electricity bills double and in some cases triple. Officials claim damage caused by several fires and the increase in fuel costs were passed on to the consumers. However, the government has begun the shift to solar, starting with public buildings like schools and even outside the Thomas A. Robinson National Stadium, where construction for solar panels is underway.
When people were complaining about high bills, my own was the lowest it's ever been. And my goal is to get it lower. So I used 405 kilowatts of energy last month. Look at my bill. I'm going to bring that down, because I can't afford to pay all that money. And I'm going to make sure I'm among that 64,000 people who are getting wise, who are going to benefit from the VAT exemption. I will pay no VAT on my bill.
Well, the Minister administration's non-profit organizations bill hit a roadblock today after it was decided it should not be debated or passed in the Senate until further consultation with stakeholders takes place. The move comes after several organizations criticized the bill and accused the government of poor consultation. Jasmine Brown reports.
The Attorney General's comments came moments after he began his communication, as he insisted the government simply cannot ignore the concerns.
We are a reasonable government. We are a government that is prepared to accept positive suggestions to improve on our initiatives, necessary criticism where it is so, to react to it in a positive way and through a meaningful dialogue.
The nonprofit organizations bill seeks to regulate nonprofit organizations and mandates that each organization register with the government and provide, among other things, evidence of its gross annual income, the identities of its members, and evidence of know your customer due diligence. The bill also mandates that each NPO report donations of $50,000 or more, as well as its 10 largest donations. But according to Bethel, the Minutes administration will be slightly delaying debate on the NPO bill.
In short, for my colleague opposite, we put the bill off till next week. In the meanwhile, we are going to consult further with civil society. We are going to review their suggestions. We'll have some discussions with them, and we will seek to accommodate those prudential and well-meaning suggestions which would not disrupt the ability of the law to achieve its purpose, which is the proper regulation of nonprofits in the country.
The move comes the morning after Civil Society Bahamas released a press statement calling on the government to amend the Nonprofit Organizations Bill 2018. In a press statement issued on Sunday, Civil Society Bahamas said it had requested input from its base of over 300 civil society and not-for-profit organizations and determined that there are a number of areas which raise significant concerns for the future health of the civil society sector. The statement outlined 9 key areas of concern in relation to the Nonprofit Organizations Bill. It stated the prospective nature of the bill could potentially decimate the civil society sector, as the vast majority of nonprofits will not be able to comply with the strict registration, accounting, and record-keeping demands of the bill.
And in view of the detail and depth of their commentary, and to accord a fair, earnest, and honest consideration of their suggestions, I would request that we not move the passage of the Nonprofit Organization Bill today, but leave it in the committee stage so that my draftspersons would have time to assist me in a thorough review of the comments and suggestions.
Following consultation this week, Bethel says the NPO bill is expected to be debated and passed in the Senate next week. Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
All right, thanks, Jasmine. Well, outspoken FNM MP Frederick McAlpine responding to Progressive Liberal Party leader Philip Davis's call for former PLP MPs to come back home. During an event in Grand Bahama on Saturday, Davis said there are some PLPs who are now FNM MPs and want to come back to the PLP. Well, McAlpine today suggested he isn't ruling anything out. Jillian Gray reports.
Following opposition leader Philip Davis's open invitation for former PLPs, including those currently sitting on the other side, to rejoin the party, one FNM parliamentarian is saying he's not ruling out that option.
My options are open. I'm a supporter of the Bahamian people, and I'm an FNM. At this time, I supported the FNM. I fought for the FNM, and so I'm trying to do what I can to continue to be a good FNM.
During an event on Grand Bahama, Davis said the PLP has to attract former members, including current FNM MPs, and work on its image ahead of the 2022 general election. Frederick McAlpine, a former PLP candidate, has publicly sparred with the Minnis administration, voting against a VAT increase and the controversial resolution to rent space from the Financial Services Minister.
You cannot beat me up for telling you what the people are saying and then expect the people to support you when you're beating up the fella for only delivering the message that they gave. Like Mom would say, how's that going to work?
McAlpine's parliamentary colleague Renwood Wells, who is a former PLP MP, laughed and declined to comment on the invitation when contacted by our news. The Pine Ridge MP said he's not sure that Davis's invitation would be accepted by former PLPs. However, he called it a good political strategy.
I think it's commendable of the leader of the opposition to reach out to members across the floor to invite them to join his party. I think that's what a leader ought to do. And I think that's what a leader ought to be paying attention to.
The PLP suffered its greatest defeat ever last year when all but 4 of its candidates were wiped out in the general election. Meanwhile, less than 2 years later, the governing Free National Movement has lost considerable support.
Today's government need to start listening to the people of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, and they need to relieve the people of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas of this economic pressure that the poor man is feeling in this country and the middle class is feeling in this country. We're becoming a country, even more so now than ever before, of the haves and the have-nots.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
Thanks, Jillian. Well, teachers at CH Reeves have voted to strike over poor working conditions. However, Labor Director John Pinder has suggested there may be a problem certifying that vote. With more on this, here's Jared Higgs.
Despite CH Reeves teachers voting overwhelmingly to strike, Pinder says a recent court ruling may prevent any industrial action from taking place.
Of the 72 teachers at CH Reeves,
62 voted in the strike poll. 61 teachers voted to strike, while 1 teacher opposed the move. However, Pinder says there may be an issue with certifying the strike poll.
A union has to allow all of its members the right to vote in any voting that will take place that will affect the union itself. So in this case, because there was just an issue with the C.H. Reeves School and the C.H. Reeves teachers, because there's not a C.H. Reeves union of teachers, there's the Bahamas Union of Teachers, that it was expected for all of the teachers to take part.
Pinder says it's a similar situation to when nurses took a strike poll back in June that was ultimately not certified.
And just because about 3 or 4 islands were not given an opportunity to vote, we were not in a position to certify the poll. But that's the minister's decision. He makes that decision as to whether or not he's going to go ahead and certify the poll.
However, Bahamas Union of Teachers President Belinda Wilson says they made their application specifically for teachers at the troubled school and don't need the opinion of the labor director.
What we would have done is we would have applied for a strike vote specifically for C.H. Reeves teachers, and every teacher at C.H. Reeves had a fair and equal opportunity to vote. And like I would have said to the acting director of labor, the union does not take advice from him. He is not there to advise the union. He is there to carry out the functions and the duties of the Labor Department in accordance with what the Industrial Relations Act has said.
The strike poll comes weeks after teachers at C.H. Reeves refused to work due to the presence of mold, pests, and water leakages in classrooms, as well as non-functioning bathrooms. Wilson says if the union doesn't get its strike certificate, they'll take the matter to court.
I think it augurs well for a test case. So yes, we're prepared to have a judicial review on the matter if we do not get the strike certificate.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
1 week after nurses voted to strike, the Bahamas Doctors Union is now gearing up for a strike vote. The labor director says that's scheduled for next week.
And the doctors have now applied for a strike vote, and their poll is supposed to be conducted on the 17th of December. So we will certainly go ahead and conduct a poll for them.
This vote follows a withdrawal of service by consultant physicians. During that time, junior doctors stated that they would not strike while their senior counterparts were taking industrial action. Despite the new threat, Pinder says he is confident that the PHA will resolve the issue.
Certainly with the consultant doctors, the CPSA, they were able to satisfy them, and they're supposed to sign something sometime this week, so that they are now satisfied that their matters have been addressed. And so now the junior doctors, who I think was owed some outstanding overtime pay and one or two other little issues, that I also believe that PHA is making an effort to address.
When Our News comes back from the break, another union is hoping to take a strike vote. Plus, senators debate a compendium of financial services bills. The details are after this break.